Hello and welcome to the Blue Jay Banter podcast. I am today's host, Alex Barcelona, and this is my co-host, Nadia Stannert. We are joined today by Mr. Jon Chapplle, who is our school's current athletic director. Chap has been working for Guthrie Public Schools since 1990, where he became the head baseball coach. In 2012, under his leadership, he and his team achieved their 500th win in only their 21st season as the head baseball coach. Chad became the interim athletic director in 2014, where he's held his position after being inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame in 2013, as well as a long list of other awards, such as OASA's Admin of the Year in 2017, at least 2 All-State honors, and an Employee of the Month, which was unknown to you until the ceremony. Mr. Chappelle, it's an honor to have the opportunity to interview you today, and I'm excited to begin. So if you're ready, we can dive into it.
Absolutely, guys.
All right, so the first half, we're kind of just going to get to know you. A lot of people know this about you already, but tell me a little bit about your life growing up. Where were you from? What did you do? What was young Chappelle doing?
Well, I actually ran the streets of Guthrie. I was born and raised in Guthrie. I attended all the elementary schools that you all attended as well. I actually attended the high school that we're in today. But when I was in high school, the office we're in was not here. Mm-hmm. But as far as growing up in Guthrie, I had 2 older brothers. I had a baby sister, and we grew up out here east of town. And I have probably been on every street in Guthrie on a bicycle at one time or another. Went every direction, north, south, east, and west. And been through the woods that you can find down by Highland Park. And been through Kiwanis, and before Kiwanis was Kiwanis field down there. But anyway, good life. Couldn't ask for a better place to be raised and reared. And actually, a kind of interesting point is all my brothers and sisters are still here.
All right, then. So you were born and you graduated in Guthrie?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so you're a Guthrie graduate?
Yes, sir.
What
yes,
year?
ma'am.
What year did you graduate?
I graduated in 1982.
All right. So being from Guthrie, born and raised, and going to all the Guthrie schools, did you play any sports here?
Yes, actually, I tried to do everything that I could. I guess I would have been categorized maybe as a hyper child. My mother and father tried to keep me extremely busy, probably to, hopefully for my benefit, to keep me out of trouble. Yes, I actually played, in high school, I played football, baseball, and then I also was a wrestler. I also played basketball for a while. We actually had league wrestling here in Guthrie when I was a kid, and I would actually play a basketball game and leave at halftime and go wrestle a match, and then come back and finish the basketball game. So, but yeah, so like I said, I've been in a lot of the gyms. We wrestled at the old Cotterell gym. We played basketball at the junior high gym when I was in elementary school, and didn't get to play out here. Didn't have a north gym. Just had when I was in elementary school, we didn't have the main gym. But yeah, so I played a little bit.
Wow, a little bit more than a little bit. Were you in any other clubs or organizations? I mean, looks like your plate was pretty full.
Actually, I don't know that we actually called it student council at the time. But one thing that we did differently than we do now, we actually held the prom in the high school gym. And it was really, really cool. I was a part of that committee as a junior. I didn't ramrod anything, but I was there many late nights. We would put the streamers from the handrails all the way up to the I-beams, basically enclosing the gym away from the bleachers. We actually had a spring-fed pond with like little rocks, and we brought in fake trees and created an environment of, and of course every year was a different theme. Yes, sir. And so I was a part of that, but like I said, the athletic part of it did keep me pretty busy.
So from all these sports and all these clubs and organizations and all that, was anything that you did stick with you after high school, like a passion or an interest? Did any of that like spark something in you and stick with you?
Well, I developed kind of a love for the game of baseball. I think that's the game that I probably was the best at. That's actually where I ventured out in college to play college baseball. But no, and I always liked people. I always like to be around people. Matter of fact, that kind of led me into what I'm doing today from that standpoint. No, create a love for baseball, a passion to be around people.
All right, so young baseball prodigy Jon Chappelle, what did you do after high school? Tell me
Got to
about
be
your
very careful to use the word prodigy. I played with a couple kids that were probably better than I was actually in high school. I actually attended the University of Oklahoma out of high school to play baseball.
Okay.
I was there for a couple years, and then I ventured over to Oklahoma Baptist University. I like to say the first thing that I could say about that, I kind of dropped. I'm not going to drop the word baseball because that we're talking about. But the blessing that came from that was that I met my wife. I was at OBU.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't meet her right when I went there, but I met her towards the end over there. But I played over there for a couple years and had a good time. And then, of course, after I graduated from college, then I actually attended CSU. I got my bachelor's at OBU, and then I moved back to the Guthrie area, just south of town, and was going to get my master's degree. Well, I ran into the baseball coach there, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him. He said, "Well, hey, I'll pay for your school if you want to come help me coach." So I went and did that for a couple years and got my master's degree, and then actually the third year there, I was an assistant coach at CSU. We were just starting the process of venturing into becoming University of Central Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
But the high school baseball coach at Guthrie quit, probably on the last second deal back in August, I think. And the superintendent at that time, named Jack Herron, Dr. Jack Herron, he called me, asked me if I was interested. I really wasn't interested. He said, "Hey, come visit me, come see me." And the next thing I know, I was the baseball coach. And didn't plan to be here long.
Mm-hmm.
Just was going to kind of help out and do this and do that, and so much for that idea.
Yeah, well, now look at you. You're an integral part of the school system. Okay, well, so you went from college straight into baseball coaching. What did you do? Did you have any jobs in between college and coaching?
Oh, I did a bunch of odd jobs. I mean, as far as, summer jobs, those things, this and that. I worked at a trailer park for a long time, did a lot of things, handymans, hot water tanks, pulling up carpet, placing plywood, mowing yards, weed eating yards. People claim I'm a pretty good weed eater. But then again, I carry weed eater in my truck most of the time.
There you go.
All the coaches here kind of gig me about that because I'll pull my weed eater out from any time, any place, anywhere. Matter of fact, I've been guilty many times of driving by different churches in town and going to weed eat in the parking lot.
There you go.
And then somebody might see me, and not that I do it for any recognition in any way, shape, or form, but they'll see me, "Hey, Coach Chapp, thanks for weed eating my parking lot." So, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, that's kind of some of the odd things that I did. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so before you became the athletic director, you were the head coach.
Yes,
in
sir.
1990, around that time.
Yes,
Okay.
until 14. Yes, sir.
All right, so while you're the head coach, you got over 500 wins. Your 500th being against Bishop McGinnis.
Okay, I'm glad you remember that.
In your 21st season, actually.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about your head baseball coach.
Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is I had a bunch of really, really good baseball players.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people this all the time. I have some of my best friends are some of the kids that I actually coached in those 90s and 91s and 92, 93, 94, in those areas. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know, but Coach Bennett was a graduate of 1996, an all-state pitcher for me. It's easy to win when he's pitching. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Very easy to win. But I enjoyed that. Had some great relationships with all those kids. I missed the game. Some of the work on the fields, and which I enjoyed at the time as a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old were fun. But of course, it wears on you.
Yes.
Doing it yourself. And I had great assistants. I had a coach. I don't know if you all know this. Coach Porter was my assistant for 19 years.
I did.
And couldn't have asked for a better friend. A guy that worked, always had my back. Just a good story. But like I said, the key to all of that, guys, is the kids that played for me were wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonderful.
You've been over this slightly already, but from the sports to the people, but what got you interested in what you do now and what keeps you passionate about it?
Well, what got me interested in that, I don't know if I give this guy credit for it or not, but there was a guy named Earl Sykes. Earl was actually my 7th grade basketball coach at the junior high. And it was my first real experience of that kind of scenario. He was young, right out of college. We thought he was really cool. The music he listened to was cool. Anyway, he moved up the ranks. As a matter of fact, my senior year, he was the athletic director here. And then he moved on and retired from Guthrie. He was the principal here at Guthrie High School for many years. And when I was in college, I actually was majoring in business. And I remember coming back one day and talking to him. I gig him now. I said, thanks a lot, But I mean that wholeheartedly. Thank you to him for that. But he said, John, business will always be there for you. You need to be with kids. And so I thought about it, and I changed my major to education. And I wasn't really a guy that pondered a lot of things. I kind of bull in the china closet. I said, you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I did. And so as far as that's kind of what got me here. The passion is kids. It's just kids trying to help. You guys, you see me in the hallways. I want people to smile. I want people to enjoy the day. I want them to have a good day. You know what I mean? So, and if I can do that, that's great.
So you love what you do now, right?
Some days.
What would you have done if you hadn't become the icon that you are?
Well, I don't know about the word icon. I'm the guy that I am. I don't know. Who knows? I don't second guess all those things. I've had a few opportunities to venture out. My wife and I have had a couple opportunities that we could have left Guthrie. And I thought, well, why am I going to leave Guthrie? Go back to my family, my brothers, my sister. I have, I don't know how many nieces and nephews I have. I have 13, I believe. No, 13. No, I have 10. And then they all have children now. So it's just exploded. And all of them live here. I have one son that lives in Edmond. Other than that, the entire Chappelle clan is right here.
So you said that you don't second guess things, but looking back and knowing what you know now, would you change anything or choose a different path?
Oh, well, I wouldn't choose a different path maybe, but would I change things? Absolutely. It's kind of like we finish this interview, and after we leave, could look back and I would have maybe changed maybe one of the answers that I had. When I deal with kids, do I look back and deal with those situations and think, man, maybe I should have dealt with it this way. Maybe that offended Timmy, and I didn't mean to do that. Sure, I changed those things, but, that's a tough question. But there's definitely some things I would change, but I don't know about the path. I don't know about the path, because I know that I've probably sometimes, I might have been too forceful with the kid when I thought maybe that's what he needed, but it didn't mean I was right. I might have been too soft. Might not have been as firm enough. Should have been a little more demanding maybe. Those results won't get played out until history lays its course. But sure, I'd change some things in that regard. Yes, absolutely.
So, aside from talking about the past, let's look at the future. What do you see in your future? Do you expect to continue directing?
I don't know. I'm getting at that age. I can draw Social Security. I'm getting old. Bottom line. My wife is at the house. My wife in the last couple of years has been able to kind of help me out around here doing some things. She was raising kids and chasing them and working herself for, a long period of that time. We take time. We make time about 3 weeks out of the year. We get out of here. We go someplace. We do things. That's a good thing. But the other side of the coin is the bird flies. I have 2 grandkids that are a block away. I got 3 grandkids that are a couple miles away. I got one of my grandkids the other day down in the gym, And I said, hey, I'll be back down in the gym a little bit, and I'll bring you some gummy bears. He said, Pop, I've already been in your office. I already got gummy bears. So, you can't replace those things either. But I don't know. I could wake up and tomorrow and decide I'm going to retire at the end of the year. I think that's a good thing. But I'm still committed to what I do. I'm still here to try to help. When Dr. Simpson tells me that I'm in the way, I'm leaving, if that makes any sense. So, but yeah, I don't know. I might like to sit on the beach a while. It might not be a bad idea.
Absolutely.
So who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, you've lived an interesting life. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, as anybody. You've gone through a lot of things, I'm sure, and I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. I'm going to ask you, what's been your biggest motivation going through all the things that you've done, especially your coaching career?
Motivation. Oh, I think the biggest motivation to me is, oh man, that's good. I think some of the most enjoyable moments that I've had is seeing the expressions on some of my players' faces when they win that exciting game or the big game. We always emphasize kind of the regional championship to get to the state tournament. That was always really cool. And they used to play it over at Tulsa all the time. So when we won the regional, we'd always play the country song, Living on Tulsa Time. That was pretty cool, just the expressions on their faces when they succeeded. Being able to go and see a kid that you've coached and maybe had an impact on him, and he's had his first son or his first daughter. Well, that's, to me, I don't think it's any better than that.
So the impact that you...
Well, you hope.
Yes.
You hope.
Yes.
And I fall short every day, guys. And I like I said, when you asked the question, when I look back, would I change anything? Well, I wish I could have been more compassionate. I hope I would have had more impact. Those things are always there. I'm not going to use the word regret, but yeah, you always wish you could have enriched something better, if that makes any sense.
Yes, sir. Well, you've dropped a couple of names throughout the interview. Do you have someone that you'd consider a mentor to the things that you've done?
I still ask Earl Sykes questions.
Mm-hmm.
I call him sometimes on certain things. Not very often, but life is busy.
Right.
I had a guy named Willie Young that I worked with. Actually, was my assistant. He was also one of my baseball coaches for many, 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 many years. But we lost him here a few years back. Of course, my dad. My dad was first class fella.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a mentor, I don't know that it would get any better. I mean, like I said, I was blessed to have a great dad. I had grandfathers that were around, which is a big deal.
Yes.
As an adult, I lost my grandparents, so I've been extremely blessed in that way. Like I said, Earl Sykes, Willie Young. Let's see. I could probably name a bunch, but
Yes,
a lot of my teachers. I had some coaches that Max Smiley, who's passed on, my head football coach. Matter of fact, I talked to Mark Newman, my high school wrestling coach, 2 days ago, who's up in Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, one of my buddies that I was on the state championship wrestling team with, Bill Wells, who was a state champion wrestler, one of his neighbors had died and wanted me to let Coach Newman know that his neighbor had passed away. So I made contact with him and let him know that Coach Newman, when he lived here in Guthrie, that a close neighbor of his had passed. So the relationships in that regard are pretty cool. Modern technology is cool, and bad, of course.
Oh yeah, it's got.
But it can be such a blessing as well. But and I've got mentors now. People I draw from. I draw from I call him Coach, but Throckmorton. Throckmorton's always got some wisdom for me. I draw from different people and thoughts and processes of. I talk to Terry Bennett all the time, and Terry Bennett's dad as well. If I really need something, who knows? Maybe call one of my brothers.
Yeah. Well, everyone's got their setbacks, so I'm going to ask, what would you consider one of your biggest setbacks? Something that held you back a little bit.
That hold you back?
You personally.
Oh, me personally, one of my biggest problems, I talk too much. You know?
You're self-aware.
Well, at my age, you are self-aware. If you're not, somebody will tell you, man, Coach Jeff, you like to talk.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, oh, you think I don't know that? I figured that out in 61 years, But it's also an asset at times.
Oh, yeah.
It can be an asset at times as well.
Especially right now.
Well, that can be very true. But I don't know. I've been so blessed. So I like to do, and you guys know this. I'm a half full guy. I'm not a half empty guy.
Absolutely.
And I know that, like I said, I know in this school building there's lots of kids that struggle and have lots of issues and lots of concerns and lots of problems. And I know some days they don't want to smile, and I get it. But I just hope they know that they can come to Coach Chapp, and I'll do what I can to help them.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, then on the blessing side, your biggest success, what would you consider that?
My biggest success. Well, I would think it's my family and my wife. I have a mother that's still here and still healthy and able to travel. Matter of fact, her and my brother are traveling now. So that's a blessing. Well, another blessing is the fact that you get to get up in the morning, you get to go to do a job that it's not always considered a job. It's not work. Mm-hmm. It's not work. Like when we get through this meeting, I'm going to go down and watch the kids wrestle down at Carl Albert.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm going to get back in my truck and I'm going to come back up here to Guthrie and I'm going to pick up my wife and we're going to drive over to Collinsville and watch the basketball game. And it's our anniversary. We've been married 39 years today.
Happy anniversary,
yeah.
Jack. 39 years.
So, that being the case, think about it. You have a wife that's going to go watch a basketball game with you.
Yeah.
She didn't say, hey, can you let somebody else go? Can we go do something? Mm-hmm. No, we're going to go. Now, it's probably going to cost me at the restaurant. We'll probably eat at a pretty nice place,
Absolutely.
And somewhere in between there, too, I've got to stop and get her something for the anniversary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 39 years of marriage.
39 years. That's right.
What's your secret?
Her.
That's a good answer.
You need to ask her that.
So you've went into all these successes in your life, but let's dive a little deeper on that. What to you does success look like?
I think success is in the eye of the beholder. I think that there's a lot of people you can look out there and you think, boy, he's successful. He's been married 4 times. Hadn't spoken to his grandkids in 10 years. You have all the money in the world, you don't have anybody to share it with. What's it worth? Mm-hmm. I think that word success is so self-contained within each person's mental makeup, physical makeup. I know one thing: it's really hard to be happy if you physically hurt. And I just think there's just so many things and so many variables when you ask and think about the word success. Because I think it's hard to be successful if you hurt physically, and I think it's hard to be happy. I think that absolutely that does money make life a little bit easier? Sure it does. But I also think that you do live in America, and if I think you go to work and pull your bootstraps up and get after it. And my grandpa taught me one thing. He said, "Son, you be successful. It's real simple. All you got to do is work half a day." Well, me being a 17, 18-year-old young man, I said, "Grandpa," called him Daddo. "Half a day? 4 hours a day?" He said, "It's all about your concept." I didn't say 4 hours. I said half a day, 12.
Wow.
Pondering thought.
Perspective.
Yes, sir.
So you talked about your ideas of success. Let's go on the flip side. Talk about failure. What does failure look like to you?
Well, I believe you give it all. I am the athletic director. People ask me sometimes, other athletic directors, what do you look for when you watch your basketball team play? So, well, first of all, I'm not Coach K at Duke. I don't know much basketball. I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I've watched a lot of basketball. Effort, drive, takes care of all of that. Kids that are really driven to get better, to work hard, you're getting your tail beat, and you're still motivated to go to work, then you're not gloom and doom.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow's going to be better. Now, losing does stink. I know some things. Some of the best and most enjoyable years I ever had, sometimes, were when I had an average club that there weren't really any expectations. The parents didn't have a lot of expectations other than they wanted their kids to play and get better and work hard. And you look back at that year and it was a wonderful year. Sometimes the expectations are when you knew you were going to be really good, and all the pressures that came with that, and they expect you to do this, that's tough. That's tough. So, what is not being successful? I think when you quit, and you don't get up and strive for something. Something has to motivate us. Something has to motivate us. Whether it's whether it's your wife telling you, honey, you can do this. Honey, don't worry about that. The drive, the push, the motivation. Honey, I hope, some of the most successful business people I've ever met in my life always had a woman behind them say, Jimmy, you can do this. Tommy, you can do that. Well, honey, I don't know if this will work. It'll work because you're doing it. You got this. But anyway, that might have got us off the topic a little bit, but I just think that's important.
Well, we can bring it back to your position as an athletic director. And I have a quick question. So would you say that you do your job for the betterment of the coaches or for the betterment of the players?
Well, let's put it this straight up. First thing I have is kids. Period. Okay? Now, they both intermingle. Because if I place the kids first, then it's my job to give those kids the very best coach that I can give them. Does that make sense? Now, whether you believe it or not, sometimes, in certain scenarios, you give them the best coach you could get them. You may have actually wanted someone else. And for whatever reason, they couldn't come. They couldn't be there. Sometimes you might get your second choice. And if there were strengths or weaknesses of the second one, that you felt the first one was better, then you might try to take that person and instill certain qualities that the reason you like the other one a little bit more to help enrich their coaching and their learning process to where it'd be better for the Guthrie kid. That is what it is, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, kids first. Absolutely. And then, of course, you take the quality of a coach. Good coaches always are going to take the kids that they have and they're going to try to fit it to a program of what those kids do. I was kind of like an offense of a football team. If you don't have a kid to throw the ball, you probably don't want to throw the ball 35 times a game. You're going to be run-oriented.
Oh, yes. So
everything's based on kids, period. And at least the way I look at it. Now, other people may look at it differently, but like I said, I'm simple. Kids.
So you have made an impact on all these coaches and all these kids. Let's go back to...
I don't know about that, but we hope.
Let's go back to what has impacted you through your life. What has been the best advice you've been given, and what still sticks with you today?
I think I've kind of shared a little bit as we went along, but you get what you pay for. One thing I do tell our coaches all the time, Coach Chapp, may not make the right decision. But Coach Chapp, when he lays his head down at night, he thinks he made the best decision that was at the time. You know, it's kind of like you guys asked me the question earlier. Anything I regret? Anything I regret? That happens all the time. But sometimes you make the decision, you got to deal with it. Now what can we learn from it? What can we learn from it? I'm learning every day. You know, funny scenario that people give me all the time. They go, "Hey, Coach Chapp, what's up?" You know what my response to him is? Sadly enough, it's not my IQ, it's my weight. Okay? So my point is, there needs to be a little humor in life. Whether it's dealing with kids, adults, and I just think sometimes we got to take steps back and look, and we get so caught up in all the negativity of this world, and there's so much to be positive about, and there's so much to be thankful for, and we don't do enough of it, period. So anyway, I guess that's my advice for the day.
Yeah. Well, in our last interview with Coach Parrish Pierce.
Oh, stud.
Oh yeah.
I coached Coach Pierce.
Phenomenal.
A little bit.
Man. Phenomenal.
Yes. Yeah, very good there.
He dropped the tidbit, life is learning. And I've kind of been holding on to that since then. But
yeah.
I think that's a similar value to what you just mentioned. You learn a lot in life. Life is learning. You're constantly learning. But for you specifically, do you have any advice for the students of today?
I don't think there's any shortcuts. I think sometimes hard work creates a break or good luck. You guys, as you'll get older, you'll find out that there are people that seems like no matter what they try, it works. And you just can't figure out why. And I think lots of that's because of their hard work and they're willing to take a chance. And if you're going to ever take a chance, it's better to do it when you're young. You have less to lose. And, like for example, Coach Chapp cannot, I can't go out here and spend all my retirement money on some wild adventure. You know, it's set up. I got a retirement fund through the school. You know, I can go take all that money out of there if I wanted to and go do something. I don't know at my age I should be doing that. Mm-hmm. But as a young man, my advice to kids would be take those chances. You know, it's old corny saying of what do they say? Reach for the stars, or
sky's the limit.
And if you miss, you hit the moon, or I don't know exactly the story. I've heard it, but but I just think that as a young person, there's so many things out there that are available to kids to succeed and make it in the world, and I just think that people say, well, I can't get this and I can't get that. You know, we had senior night last night in wrestling, and there was a young man that's a senior, and you know his ACT was 35. Mm-hmm. So any education that you want to achieve and get, it's here, guys.
Absolutely.
You know, and people say, well, I got a 12 ACT. Well, this guy's got a 35. Well, apparently he listened more than you did. You know what I'm saying? So I think listening skills are important, and sometimes I may have went right by that because I talked instead of listened. Mm-hmm. But yeah. But like I said, I want the best for everybody. If you want to take that risk as a young man, jump out there, go for it. You want to start a company, go start it. You know, figure it out. If you don't figure it out, it's okay. It's okay. You have work ethic, you'll make it. Mm-hmm. You'll make it.
Take risks.
Well, in that regard, I don't want you to go try to jump the river on your motorcycle. Well, you know, don't you say it. Don't you say it. There's the inside joke between him and I on this deal. Don't you say it. But anyway, that's just a little scenario of. I just think that as a young person, it's out there. You live in America, and there's so many ways to make it. And my advice is to find somebody to enjoy life with, and find someone that kind of thinks the way you think, and be forgiving because you'll need to be forgived, I guess that kind of be my advice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
So-
phenomenal advice. There's a reason we as students look up to you, Chappelle.
Some days.
Oh, most days.
Some days.
Most days.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, this is your outlet, so if you have anything else that you want to add or throw in, then...
I just appreciate you guys taking the time, the effort, and what teacher put you guys up to this?
This would be Fincham.
Oh, okay. All right. Good job hiring that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Phenomenal.
Good fella. Yeah, we got him from Western Heights.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You stole him.
We did steal him. We sure did.
He's quite a man.
Yeah, he's a good fella, and I know that he has already inspired some kids at school, which is
Yes.
awesome.
He's passionate, especially
Yes.
when it comes to the press side.
Well, but he's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing. He's a good fella.
Absolutely. Well, if you've got nothing else left for us, then we'll wrap it up. It was an honor to have you
There you
on
go,
the
using
episode.
those big words,
It was
good words again.
a lot of great things. We've touched on a lot of different topics, from your
Alright.
childhood to your successes, motivations, and failures.
Yeah.
You did a great job. We appreciate
well,
you coming
thank
on.
you. Anyway,
And I suppose that's the end.
appreciate you guys a lot.
So-
Appreciate it.
All right, well then we
Yeah.
will close it out. Thank you for joining us on the Blue Jay Banter podcast. We appreciate you listening. That is all until next time. Goodbye.